Hello, I'm Heather, and I kind of wish I could get the camera to pick up the lighting like a little bit more realistic, but I'm not on a green screen. That is truly, it really looks like a green screen when I move. That's really the Willamette River behind me. Okay, so I'm going to take some deep breaths because I feel the sensations of anxiety in my body. Digging my bare feet into the warm sand. It was sunny just moments ago, and and I'm trying to ground, and I feel prepared to tell a story that is upsetting. It is subjectively and objectively upsetting. And the reason why I want to tell it is because there's manyfold, but a few are I find a great deal of healing in telling my story by actually being able to reference the specific examples and specific details of parts of my story. It becomes a metaphor for what I'm trying to experience, or it helps draw out something from me. And I believe that there is power in others getting to hear my story as well as yours. It's not just me, but just the hearing of other people's stories I find really healing also. So I like to be able to offer my stories to others to get to hear. And also in that spirit, my friend Corinne and I are starting a YouTube channel called The Art of Processing, because one reason is we feel that modeling what we wish we had known earlier in life, skills that we had known earlier in life, or modeling what we want to see more of in the world is important. And so that's what we're doing with the Art of Processing channel. So this video that I intend to make, a little concerned about how windy it is and hope this rain doesn't come in, but I'm going to trust. So our plan is to make videos where we're sharing our true, authentic, in the moment experience, even if it is big or scary or upsetting or difficult for ourselves to experience. Maybe difficult, it may, thank you for that emphasis point, and it may feel difficult to witness it. But I invite you to notice, if you feel called to watch videos that have been designated as Art of Processing videos, I invite you to notice what aspects of my story feel most difficult for you to hear. Just maybe notice what comes up for you. Where is that in your body? You get to ask yourself some questions about what does it mean. And sometimes the answer will be you're empathic and you're feeling some of my feelings, but often it's actually going to be your own stuff that's coming up, and it's an invitation to notice. So anyhow, I didn't intend to go on like that, but I'm just trying to trust that whatever comes out is what's meant. Okay, so yesterday I was down here for a while. I loved my time down here. It was so sweet and gentle, and there was 2 families of geese. So there was a total of 5 baby goslings. Some were itty bitty and some were a little bit bigger, and they hung out with me for a couple of hours. They would, the mama and the papas were looking at me and checking me out, but I never did anything that freaked them out, and so they actually came a little closer a few times, and I could hear the babies with their peeping and their little whistles, and we just enjoyed each other's company, me and the geese. And as I was leaving, I was up the beach a little bit, really close to the where the path comes right down. And all of a sudden, out of the bushes comes this big, happy brown dog. I think this dog was lab and maybe a little pit bull mix, I don't know, but just happy, big smile on this dog's face, loping up, and definitely just totally open-hearted and happy and wagging their tail, and came right up to me. So I got to say hello. Not close enough to pet. I didn't get a chance to pet the dog, but we definitely had a moment together, this dog and I. And then her person, well, actually, I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, honestly, but the dog's person came out of the bushes too, and it was a man, maybe about my age or a little older, and he just started walking down the beach, and the dog saw the geese and got super excited and ran for the beach, ran for the water, goes splashing in the water after the geese, and of course the geese are scattering, and I expected any moment that the geese that the dog was swimming after was going to just up and fly away, completely fly away. And at any moment the dog was gonna, get bored and come back, come back to his person, and so his person could throw him the stick or whatever. And but what the goose did is the goose would let the dog get somewhat close to it, and then it would lift off and go, a few paces away, and the dog kept following. And I looked at the man, and I'm looking at how far the dog's getting out, and I'm like, wow, is your dog a strong swimmer? And he's like, yeah. He's just watching, and then the goose keeps going, and the dog keeps following, and the dog's getting further and further, and I'm actually getting pretty alarmed at this point, and the man is not doing anything. He's just standing there watching the dog, and then he turns around and he looks at me like, I guess I'm not gonna see that dog again. And I was like, well, is the dog gonna make it back? I hope the dog makes it back. And he's like, yeah, totally resigned. He never once yelled for the dog. He never once clapped or whistled or threw something to try and break the dog's attention and call him back. Never once. And I was like, okay, well, maybe he knows. I don't know what the fuck's going on. I just knew I had to leave. I had to leave. I watched the dog get further and further out into this river, and I was like, oh my God, that dog can't hear him anymore. Yelling does no good at this point. God, please come back. And I walked up the path a little bit, and I think I did say, before I left, I think I did say to the man, I hope it all works out all right. And I walked away, and I actually stood up in the trees. I found a spot that I could kind of still see the river and saw the dog still swimming, but really far away. There's no way that dog made it back. There's no way that dog made it back. And so I walked home. I walked up this long hill, and I realized, okay, I felt numb. I just felt completely numb. I didn't really know what had happened, but I felt like I had a pretty good idea of what happened. And I got up to the top of the hill and realized I was hot, and I took off my jacket, and I sat down in the grass, and I ate an orange, and I looked at the flowers, and that dog didn't make it back. That man's gonna go home today without his dog. And I walked the rest of the way home. And a couple hours later, I realized I must have left my jacket there, right where I sat down, because I can't find that jacket anymore. And that is actually kind of a big deal, because not only growing up as a poor kid in Alaska, you do not lose your fucking jacket. You always know where your jacket is. So I am not somebody who loses jackets. But I lost this jacket, and I'm actually pretty bummed about it, because I earned it. I earned it for driving at 1,000 lift rides. I can't get that jacket back. So anyhow, I'm clearly numb, clearly not fully present to my experience, because it took me hours to even realize I'd lost my coat. I get home, I decide to take a shower. I decided I want to eat something, and I want to eat something very gentle, very mellow, like comfort food. And my very favorite comfort food is buttered gluten-free noodle pasta, the special ones, buttered gluten-free noodles, lots of Parmesan and salt and pepper. So I put water in the kettle. The kettle, we usually heat the water in the kettle first and then pour it into the pot on the hot plate, just because it's faster and it's more energy efficient. Because we have a hot plate. We have this whole like makeshift kitchen in our apartment. I went back in the back room, got some clothes, I came back out and realized I had put the electric kettle on the hot plate and turned it on. The smoke alarm hadn't gone off yet, but clearly there was a problem, and I was like, oh no, I don't know what to do, oh no. And I picked up I realized, okay, I have to get this off the hot plate. I pick it up, and the bottom is just melting. And then I'm like, oh my God, where do I put this? This is plastic. Oh, and I almost went to grab it. Thank God I didn't. There was a Tupperware lid on the counter, and I'm like, well, this Tupperware lid's dying. And it'll last just long enough to get this outside. And I set the kettle on that plastic lid, and the whole time, like, oh no. Like, please don't melt on the carpet. Please don't melt on me, please. And get it out to the concrete. And then I had to go back inside, and the smoke alarm by this time is going off, and so I'm waving at that, and the smoke is just pouring off the hot plate, because there's a bunch of plastic on the hot plate, and it's still so hot. And I turned our exhaust fan on, and I get the smoke detector to stop, and unplug the hot plate and carry it by the cord, because it was so fucking hot, outside, put it on the concrete as well, and it just sat out there and smoked for a while. So later, when it was time to go to the store and buy a replacement electric kettle and hot plate, I let my sweetheart drive, because I feel like if I can do something like that, lose my jacket and put the thing in the wrong place, and I can't be trusted behind the wheel. And yeah, so I'm still pretty upset about it all of it. I'm upset about every part of it, about the dog, about my physical response, about losing the jacket, about losing the $50 it cost me to replace the things that I ruined. But also, I'm grateful for a couple of things. So I'm grateful that I caught the incident with the hot plate before it became more serious. The worst that happened is my apartment filled with this horrible smell of burning plastic for a while, and I had to replace all those things. I'm really sad I lost my jacket, but it's just a jacket, and I have plenty of them. My sweetheart, when he came home, he didn't get mad at me. He didn't yell at me. Like, I didn't expect that he would, but I've just had that experience so many times in my past, in one way or another, that when I did something really just out of the blue and dangerous, because unfortunately this is something that happens with some regularity, not maybe quite that serious, but sort of. I can be very, very forgetful, and people have gotten very, very mad at me, and it's within reason for them to get upset, but unfortunately that just like piles more difficulty on top. So for him to come home and just say, oh sweetie, come here, let's lay down, just pet my head and hold me and to remind me that I'm safe. And he was, also scared, and he shared that too, but he just held me and thanked him for not yelling at me and not being mad, and he's like, no, of course I wouldn't, I'm sorry. I don't know, that's just what I'm used to happening. And he was very sweet about the trip to the store, and totally happy to do the driving, and we actually had fun at the store looking at stuff and just, well, maybe we could buy this. Oh, we could buy this if we wanted. Just kind of playing the, we could have whatever we want game. So, yeah. All right. I think I kind of half expected that this whole other traumatic story was going to come up also, that from my childhood, but I feel complete now. I don't feel like I have to. I don't know. Okay, let me check in. Okay. I'm noticing part of my resistance is, well, somebody might come up. Oh, my butt's starting to hurt. Oh, then I have to edit this video, and it's not just one shot and done. And then I also I keep reminding myself, I have a video editor. It's okay to have to edit the video. Okay. All right. I'm going to go ahead and tell this other story because it was part of the inspiration. I'm going to pad my booty a little bit better. Oh, so much better. Yeah. And I'm going to get some water. Bury my feet a little bit more. Okay. All right. Oh, this is an important piece of the story anyway, now that I remember the title that I made. So part of the reason why I think it impacted me so intensely when I realized that without actually witnessing the dog drowning, I knew that dog was not going to make it to the rest of the day. Through the rest of the day, I knew that dog was going to drown and die. And I don't know why I didn't yell. I don't know why I didn't scream out for the dog and try to distract it and bring it back. I guess I just it wasn't my dog. I kept looking at the guy like, aren't you going to call your dog? I believe like the part of the upset that's coming up, part of why my body reacted in the way that it did, getting really forgetful, leaving my jacket, putting the electric kettle on the hot plate instead of on the base. I believe part of the trauma that was coming up was a little black lab that we had when I was a kid, and I must have been in my early teens when this happened, because both my brothers were alive, and I think the youngest was at least 4, if I'm remembering correctly. And I've always, my animals have always just been my heart, I loved my animals so much, every single one of them. Of course I had favorites, but one of our dogs, at the time I think we had 3 dogs, but one of our dogs was this little black lab, and we had named him Moochie. I think because he was a total mooch. We couldn't seem to train him to not beg, and he was quick and wiry and silly, kind of dumb. He really would. Some dogs you can just tell they're just kind of dense, and this dog was dense. But he was one of our dogs. I loved him. And we raised chickens and geese and ducks, and we had goats, and so it was a whole little subsistence farm that I grew up on. And unfortunately, Moochie killed a chicken. And the reality, as I understand it, is that once a dog has gotten the taste of the experience of actually killing something like a chicken, it's almost impossible to keep the dog from doing it again. And I think my mom I remember now, my mom actually did make significant efforts to train this dog. She went to great lengths. Most people were telling her, shoot the dog now. There's no way you're going to rehab this dog. And she didn't want to give up on him. And even some of her training techniques I thought were kind of insane. But it was what was suggested at the time. And she was doing her best to try and save this dog's life. But unfortunately, it became abundantly clear. I don't know how many chickens we lost to this dog, or if neighbors lost chickens too. I don't remember. But it became clear that this dog couldn't continue with us, and it wasn't fair to give him to anybody else because he was a chicken killer. He's gonna keep doing it. So the boys were small enough, my brothers were small enough that my mom and I mean, she told me because I don't think I helped in this decision. She just said, we are not going to tell them that I shot the dog. We're going to, I can't remember what the story was. We said he ran away, or I don't remember what the story was, but it definitely wasn't, Mom took the dog out back and shot it. But so again, I was in this situation where I didn't think my voice was going to do nothing. The decision was made. I'm sure I argued for the dog's life, and I'm sure I came to understand why there was nothing to be done in this situation. And but it still was this, like, as I was standing on this beach just yesterday, watching this dog swim further and further away, why didn't I yell? Why didn't I try to save the dog? It was so upsetting for me. When my mom had to kill that dog, and I understood, and I didn't, and I was upset, and I just, there was like, there's a lot trapped. I can't even quite access the words. I just know that it was, and that wasn't the only animal that I lost in a really upsetting and sad and terrible way. But watching that dog just swim out further and further into the river, almost all the way to that bridge, I watched it swim all the way out there. All right, so I hope the telling of that story helped me. I'm gonna go get back in the river for a little bit, take my little bare feet, put them in the river, and I'm surprised I didn't cry. Maybe that will come, I don't know. But I'm noticing some pain in my head. My upper back feels tight. My belly feels tight. The tears and the sadness actually just don't feel accessible. They feel still locked inside. So it's time for me to move my body about, and yeah. Thank you for being on the receiving end of this very upsetting story and experience. I do invite you to share if you learned anything about yourself from it, or what your reflections are, what came up for you. Thank you. Okay. I'm gonna do some shaking and some tapping and some qigong and stuff. Get back into this living water and let this shit go. Thank you. Have a great day.